The body is always listening. Every thought you think sends a chemical signal to your entire system. That signal becomes a language the body learns to understand. When we think thoughts of fear, stress, doubt, or resentment, those thoughts trigger the brain to release corresponding chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, and other stress hormones. Those chemicals then signal the body to respond as if it's in immediate danger. The heart rate quickens, the immune system suppresses, and digestion slows. The body prepares to survive, not to heal. If this response happens temporarily, say if you're escaping a real threat, then it's adaptive. But when those survival emotions become chronic, when we live in constant emotional reactions rooted in the past or future, the body begins to wear down. We become addicted to the rush of stress. That chemistry becomes a habit, and over time, that habit becomes our personality. The body then becomes the unconscious mind, automatically reproducing the same emotional state day after day, even when the original trigger is long gone. That's when we enter a loop of thinking and feeling, where our thoughts create feelings and those feelings reinforce the same thoughts. In that state, the body becomes the servant of the mind, but not in a way that serves us. Now here's the transformative truth. Just as your thoughts can make you sick, they can also make you well. When we begin to shift our thoughts from fear to gratitude, from resentment to forgiveness, from stress to trust, the brain releases a completely different set of chemicals. Endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin. These are the molecules of peace, connection, love, and healing. They tell the body you are safe, you can relax, you can begin to repair. The cells of your body respond not just to the food you eat or the environment you're in, they respond to the thoughts you think repeatedly. Your immune system listens. Your genes listen. Epigenetics has now shown us that the expression of your DNA can be influenced by your inner environment, by your emotions, your focus, your attitude. That means you are not at the mercy of your genes. You're not a victim of your biology. You are the master of it. So when you sit quietly and bring your awareness to your inner world, when you begin to observe your thoughts rather than react to them, something incredible happens. The act of observation alone breaks the cycle. You step into the role of creator rather than reactor. And in doing so, you reclaim energy that was trapped in the body, energy that was once fueling stress, inflammation, and dis-ease. That energy becomes available again for growth, regeneration, and healing. The heart, too, plays a central role. It is not just a pump. It's an intelligent organ that sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. When you breathe deeply and place your attention on your heart, when you generate feelings of appreciation and love, you enter a state called heart coherence. In this state, your brain and heart synchronize, and the body begins to function in harmony. Coherence is the foundation of healing. In coherence, the immune system strengthens. Brainwaves shift from chaotic beta to more organized alpha and theta patterns. In that brainwave state, your subconscious is more open to suggestion, and you begin to program a new future. Every thought is a choice. Every emotion is a signal. When you understand that your inner world is shaping your outer experience, you begin to realize the enormous power you've always had. Healing is not something that comes from the outside in. It's something that arises from the inside out. Your body is not broken. It's waiting for the right instructions. And those instructions come from the elevated thoughts you choose, the conscious focus you sustain, and the emotional states you rehearse over and over again in the sanctuary of your inner world. Most people wake up every morning and immediately reconnect with their familiar sense of self. They think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, follow the same routines, and unconsciously reaffirm their identity based on yesterday. Their environment triggers memories. Their memories trigger emotional states, and those emotions anchor them to the past. Without even realizing it, they begin the day living in an old story, a story shaped by past experiences, traumas, and beliefs they didn't even choose. But here's the reality. Your past does not define you. What defines you is how you relate to your past in the present moment. Every thought you hold that says, "This is who I am because of what happened to me," is a program, and a program can be rewritten. You are not your memories. You are not your diagnosis, your failures, your heartbreak, or the mistakes you once made. Those are experiences, not definitions. The moment you stop emotionally identifying with them, you open the door to a new possibility. The human brain is a record of the past. Every memory is wired into circuits. Every long-standing emotion is stored in the body. But the same neuroplasticity that allows your brain to hold onto pain also gives you the power to create a new future. When you change your thinking, you change your neural pathways. When you shift your emotional state, you shift your biochemistry. This is not philosophy, it is biology. The past may have shaped your current identity, but it cannot limit your potential unless you let it. The challenge is that most people unknowingly use their past to predict their future. Because it's familiar, they keep repeating the same cycles, thinking the same limiting thoughts, feeling the same survival-based emotions, acting in ways that reinforce the same outcomes. Over time, they form an identity around it. I'm this way because of my childhood. I can't change because of my trauma. This is just who I am. But those statements are not truth. They're conditioning, and conditioning can be undone. To break free, you must become greater than your environment, greater than your body, and greater than time. That means letting go of the need to remember who you've been long enough to imagine who you could become. It means stepping outside the predictable and embracing the unknown. The unknown is where all true change happens. But stepping into the unknown requires courage because it's unfamiliar. It feels uncomfortable. It means releasing the chemical addiction to guilt, to shame, to anger, and all the emotions that have become part of your identity. Those feelings, while painful, are familiar, and the body often prefers familiarity over freedom. True transformation starts when you begin observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. When you become aware of the old scripts running through your mind, the internal dialogue that says you're not enough or that healing isn't possible, you gain the power to change them. Awareness is the first step. When you catch yourself thinking and feeling like the old self, you interrupt the pattern. Each time you choose a new thought, you weaken the neural connection to the old one. Each time you embody a new emotional state, one of empowerment, joy, or gratitude, you signal to your body that you are becoming someone new. That new identity doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from within, from intention, from repetition, and from the emotional rehearsal of your future self. When you close your eyes and imagine the healthiest, most abundant version of you, and you feel the feelings of already being that person, you are no longer living by the past. You're programming your brain and body to believe in a new future. And the body, which only knows what it's being told chemically, begins to respond as if that future is happening now. This is how you create change at the level of identity. You don't fake it, you feel it. You think greater than how you feel, and eventually your feelings begin to match your new thoughts. You begin to embody a new energy, one that is no longer anchored in history, but inspired by possibility. And when your internal state no longer matches your old environment, your life must begin to change to reflect the new version of you. This is how you move from a state of cause and effect into a state of causing effects. Not by willpower alone, but by becoming the future you now. Everything in your life begins with energy, not just physical energy, but the energy of thought, emotion, and intention. You may believe that change comes once something shifts in your external world. A diagnosis is cleared, a relationship improves, a situation resolves. But in truth, the outer world is only a reflection of your inner state. The body, the environment, and even time itself begin to reorganize when you shift your energy. And energy is directed by emotion. The key to transformation is learning how to feel the future before it becomes your present reality. The mistake most people make is waiting. They wait for the change to come before they feel the emotion they long for. They want the healing to happen before they feel whole. They want the success before they feel worthy. They want the love before they feel lovable. But in that waiting, they reinforce lack. Their energy remains connected to the absence of the very thing they desire. The frequency they broadcast is rooted in separation, and the field responds not to what we want, but to who we are being. To feel it before you see it is to step into the role of creator rather than victim. It's to understand that your thoughts are electric and your emotions are magnetic. Together, they become a broadcast signal that interacts with the quantum field, the invisible intelligence that responds to coherence, to alignment, to clarity. When you think a clear intention and combine it with an elevated emotion, you send a signal out beyond your body, beyond your circumstances, into a field of infinite potential. You become a magnet for the very future you are imagining. But you cannot simply visualize with your mind. You must involve your heart. The body must experience the future emotionally before the senses perceive it physically. The nervous system doesn't distinguish between an event that is actually happening and one that is deeply imagined with emotional intensity. So when you begin to rehearse the future in your mind and feel the joy of health, the peace of resolution, the gratitude of abundance, your brain and body begin to believe that the future is happening now. This is not wishful thinking. It is biological programming. Neurons that fire together wire together. The more you rehearse the new emotional state, the more you condition your body to a new mind. Over time, your brain begins to reflect this internal reality more than the outer one. You begin to install new circuits that are no longer rooted in the past. Your body begins to memorize what it feels like to be that future version of you, and soon it starts to expect that reality. It anticipates it. And as a result, it starts moving toward it. This is why elevated emotions are so essential. Emotions like gratitude, love, joy, and empowerment are signatures of the future. They are expansive. They open the heart and shift the body into a state of regeneration. When you feel those emotions ahead of the event, you teach your body to live in a new timeline. You collapse the gap between the present and the future. And the more you feel it, the more you become it. You don't just think like the future you feel like them. You breathe like them. You walk like them. And your energy begins to mirror that new identity. That internal shift becomes a point of attraction. Your frequency becomes coherent, and the field around you responds in kind. Opportunities begin to appear. Synchronistic events unfold. People and experiences that match your new energy begin to show up in your life. Not because you forced them, but because you aligned with them. And alignment begins with feeling. Not after the fact, but before. This is how you master the art of creation. You use the power of your focused intention and the depth of your emotional energy to experience the future now. You sit in meditation not to escape life, but to rehearse life deliberately, intentionally. You construct an internal world so vivid, so emotionally rich, that the body begins to believe it. And once the body believes it, it begins to change. Healing accelerates, patterns dissolve, biology shifts, and you start to step into the version of yourself that you used to only dream about. You are not hardwired to be the same person for the rest of your life. The idea that your brain is fixed, that your personality is set, or that your habits are unchangeable is a deeply outdated belief. Neuroscience has proven again and again that the brain is plastic. It reshapes itself in response to new experiences, new knowledge, and most importantly, new thoughts. This means you can literally change your brain by thinking differently. And one of the most powerful tools for doing that is meditation combined with mental rehearsal. When you sit down in stillness, when you close your eyes and separate yourself from your outer world, your phone, your responsibilities, your roles, your environment, you begin to shift your attention inward. And where you place your attention is where you place your energy. The moment you begin to observe your thoughts rather than react to them, you step into a higher level of awareness. You move from unconscious programs to conscious creation. Meditation becomes the doorway through which you change your relationship to your inner world. As you begin to quiet the analytical mind and open the door to the subconscious, you enter the realm of suggestibility. In this state, you are no longer just a thinking being, you are a reprogramming being. Now, you can begin to install a new internal reality. This is where mental rehearsal comes in. The same way an athlete visualizes each movement before ever stepping onto the field, you can rehearse your future self. You can mentally walk through how that version of you thinks, how they act, how they feel, how they make decisions. And the moment you imagine that with enough clarity and intensity, your brain begins to fire in new sequences and patterns. Neurons don't know the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. When you mentally rehearse your ideal self, your healed self, your confident self, your creative self, you're no longer just thinking about change, you're embodying it. You're building a new model of self, and the brain begins to record that information as if the experience is already happening. Over time, those rehearsals become familiar. The brain maps become more refined, and the new self begins to emerge not from force, but from repetition and emotional engagement. This is not just psychological, it is physiological. Your brain is an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced. Every circuit, every connection, every pattern has been wired through repetition. But the same way those patterns were installed, they can be replaced. By rehearsing a new reality daily, you prune away the neural connections that no longer serve you, and you strengthen the ones that align with your vision. The more you rehearse, the more fluent your brain becomes in this new pattern. Eventually, it becomes automatic. You begin to think and feel as the new self, even when you're not meditating. That's when change becomes embodied. The body, too, plays a crucial role. Through meditation, you teach the body what the future feels like. You condition it emotionally. If the body has been living in fear, stress, or lack, it's been addicted to those familiar chemicals. But when you introduce elevated emotions, gratitude, joy, inspiration, you begin to break the chemical bond with the past. The body starts to remember a new way of being. And once the body is aligned with the mind, the two are no longer in opposition. They are in coherence. This coherence is measurable. Studies have shown that regular meditation not only changes brainwave patterns from high stress beta waves to more relaxed alpha and theta states, but also increases activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making, focus, and conscious intention. Simultaneously, it reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center. This shift in brain activity allows you to respond to life rather than react to it. You move from being a victim of your emotions to the master of your inner state. Mental rehearsal is not daydreaming. It is an intentional act of creation. It is training the brain and body to live in alignment with a reality that does not yet exist in the outer world, but already exists in your inner world. The more vivid your rehearsal, the more real it becomes. The more real it becomes, the faster your biology begins to match your intention. And when your internal state reflects your desired future, you're no longer living in the memory of the past. You're living in the memory of the future. Everything you're seeking, healing, growth, transformation, can only happen in one place, the present moment. The now is where all of your power resides. But most people spend their lives in a state of distraction, constantly pulled away from this moment by thoughts of the past or projections into the future. Their attention is fragmented, scattered across timelines that no longer exist or have yet to unfold. The result is a disconnection from the self, from the body, and from the intelligence that lives within. The present moment is not just a concept, it is a frequency, a state of being. When you bring your awareness fully to the now, you bring your energy with it. And where your energy goes, life begins to reorganize. The body begins to restore itself, the mind begins to quiet, and the heart begins to open. In that space, the chemistry of survival, fear, anxiety, stress, frustration begins to dissolve. You shift out of reaction and into observation. You become aware of the thoughts you're thinking, the emotions you're feeling, and the patterns you've been unconsciously rehearsing. And in that awareness, you create a gap, a space between stimulus and response. That space is where transformation lies. To live in the present is to step outside the conditioned self. The conditioned self is built on memories. It uses the past as its reference point and constantly anticipates the future based on what it has already experienced. This self is familiar, but it is not free. It is bound by repetition. It believes that how things have been is how they will always be. But the present moment doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care about your story, your failures, your labels, or your limitations. The present moment offers you a new choice every single time you enter it. When you choose to dwell fully in the now, your brain begins to reorganize itself around presence rather than prediction. You begin to break the habit of being who you were yesterday. You stop anticipating stress and start observing stillness. The frontal lobe of your brain, responsible for self-awareness and conscious creation, lights up. Your brainwaves slow down. You move from high beta, the wave of chaos and survival, into alpha, the wave of relaxed alertness. In this state, your body is no longer preparing to fight or flee. It's preparing to heal. The present moment is also where you become no one, not the personality, not the roles, not the name, not the story. In the now, you let go of the constant need to be someone and instead become pure consciousness, pure awareness. You lose your identity temporarily to find something more profound, your potential. In this space, you are no longer confined by the biology of your past. You are an open field of possibility. And in that openness, energy begins to move differently. Your heart becomes coherent. Your brain becomes organized. Your cells begin to respond to a new signal, the signal of wholeness. Meditation trains you to stay in the present. It's not about escaping life, but about entering it more fully. Every time your mind wanders to the past or leaps into the future, and you gently bring it back, you are reclaiming power. You are strengthening the muscle of awareness. Over time, this practice spills into daily life. You stop living on autopilot. You start noticing. You start choosing. You begin to experience moments not through the lens of habit, but through the freshness of awareness. And in that freshness, even the most ordinary moment becomes sacred. In the present, you are no longer trying to control the outcome. You are no longer resisting what is. You are in flow, aligned with a deeper rhythm. That rhythm is intelligent. It knows what to heal, what to release, what to transform. When you surrender to the now, you allow that intelligence to work through you, to guide you. You move from the mechanical to the mystical, from the predictable to the possible. And it's here, in this field of presence, that you begin to receive, not from the outside world, but from within. You tap into the wisdom of the body, the intuition of the heart, the clarity of the mind, no longer as separate parts, but as a unified field of awareness. To be fully present is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It is the foundation for every breakthrough. It is the container for every elevated emotion. It is the birthplace of every new version of you. When you live here, fully, consciously, you no longer need to chase change. You become it. Would you like me to now help compile these expanded keynotes into a full motivational script? Or are you planning to use them as individual sections? You are far more powerful than you've been conditioned to believe. You are not a prisoner of your past, not a victim of circumstance, and not defined by your current environment. At any moment, you can choose a new future, not through force, but through alignment. When you begin to think greater than your old thoughts, feel greater than your familiar emotions, and act from a new state of being, you send a new signal into the field. That signal doesn't just change your brain and body, it changes your life. Healing, growth, abundance, peace. These are not rewards given to a lucky few. They are natural outcomes of inner coherence. When your thoughts and emotions become congruent with your desired future, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around your new energy. The body responds, the brain rewires, the heart opens, and the field reflects that transformation back to you, often in ways more miraculous than you could have ever scripted. It all begins in the now, with one decision: to step out of the story you've been telling and into the vision you've been dreaming. To feel it before you see it. To mentally rehearse it until your body believes it. To use meditation not as an escape, but as a rehearsal ground for the life waiting to unfold. You're not waiting on the world to change. The world is waiting on you to change. The intelligence within you is limitless. The moment you connect to it consistently and sincerely, you become the healer, the creator, the visionary of your life. The path forward isn't found by looking outside. It's revealed the moment you choose to go within. The thoughts you nurture today will become the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely, choose consciously, choose powerfully, because your thoughts can heal you,